What's happening, everybody? It is the Pirate Captain from Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Just doing a quick video on how Wizards has kind of backtracked their release date for D&D 1. Still not a fan of that name. It just needs to be 6th edition. We're going to get into that in this video, but before we do, please do me a solid. Like and subscribe to the channel, and please drop a comment on the video if you enjoy this stuff. Recently, Wizards had released a social media post that they called a mistake, all right? And it had a date on it. Now, I've not been able to find the original post that has the date, but they quickly deleted it and put out a coming soon post. Here's the issue with that. We have been talking on recent episodes about some of these classes just not being right, all right? All they've done is kind of like hodgepodged everything together, hoping it'll work. It's not, all right? We talked in long form about the podcast, which you can find right above me, about how the Barbarian, the class itself, actually seems really good. The subclasses, not so much, all right? It's just not working. The Yggdrasil, this Tree of Life Barbarian, there's a lot of lore implications and a lot of problems that are going to arise from having this in there. They're starting to build subclasses around lore, not really working out. Now you're going, Pirate Captain, what does this have to do with the release date? The game is not ready, all right? They are planning on it coming out soon, but how soon is soon, all right? That's the big issue that I have, okay? This new version is saying it's going to be the biggest player handbook released yet, but you're going to be soon? That's dangerous right now. Some of the content is just not there. We still think that the monk is C-. There are some major updates that have brought it up from a 10% of an overall liked of a class to now a C-. Bigger does not always mean better, all right? 5th edition's best trait was the fact that it was just a smaller handbook that you could actually go pick up, even being the noobest of noobs, and everybody would do pretty much just fine. But this new thing of where you're going to be able to combine it with other books is just going to create a hodgepodge of a mess. People are either going to want to play the new version, D&D 6th edition, or they're going to want to play the old version, the 5e. So look, if you want to do something crazy, pull a Paizo's, call it 5.5. That would actually kind of shock the system, and it might actually be good. This coming soon announcement from Wizards is them saying they actually had the release date and it probably didn't go over well. I really wish somebody had those original post archives so I could look at it and give you my full thoughts on that. But if you do and you happen to know where it is, do me a solid. Drop a comment down below. They keep telling us that they want to pair this version with the 5.0 self, but we all know this is not going to be the case. Someone is going to want to play the older version, and someone's going to want to play a newer version because maybe the older version has a subclass that you like. Maybe the newer version has features from a new subclass that you want to play with, but you also want the subclass from old. It's not going to pair well. It's going to end up making either your players or your DMs the victims of this, all right? Because somebody's going to want to do this, and they're going to be like, well, I get to because Wizard says so, and it's just not going to work out that way. This is my issue with this. This whole book needs to come out and be a whole new edition. I'm fine with that. I guarantee you most of your players would be fine. It's not like we've spent not enough time in 5th edition, all right? It is not the first time that they've released a new edition within 10 years because technically it'll be 10 years next year. Both 3rd and 4th edition lasted less than 10 years, not all together though. 3rd to 4th was 5 years, and it was probably their last most successful version. Think about that. It spawned off, Paizo's spawned off Pathfinder from 3.5, all right? And from 4th to 5th, it was 6 years. And people, I have never found anybody that said 4th edition is my favorite. 4th edition was it. You're either an original OG, a 2nd edition person, a 3rd edition, or a 5e, which is crazy. This backtrack of the release date could sign that they've come to their senses a little bit. I want to give Wizards of the doubt. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt is what I meant to say. And then I look at those videos. I've talked about Jeremy Crawford being kind of a bit of a goober on this one. I'm just saying, the backtrack of this release date could sign that they have come to their senses and they've probably listened to what I'm saying. But if I was being the pirate that I am, they just know that D&D 1 was not meant to be what it was. All right. I'm excited that they're still trying to put out content, but they need to backtrack that. Stop putting out content and focus on what it is. Not a lot of people are buying these. I've heard reports that some of these newer modules are going straight to the sales shelf where you can get them for cheap because they're staying on the shelves. When I recently went to to the card shops that I go play cards at over the weekend, there was quite a few of the newer D&D books on the sales shelf, and you couldn't find any of Paizo's stuff. Not the original Pathfinder, not the new versions of Pathfinder, and the PHB, the Dungeons Manual, or the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual. All three of those books, they were there still on the shelf. That's a worrying sign. And those were the ones that weren't on sale because you can still do great. Take Wizards, if you hear this now, do me a solid. Stop putting out all this needless content and focus on this next edition. Don't call it D&D 1. Please, for the love of everybody, do not call it D&D 1. Just make it 6th edition. People would love it. I get that you don't want to break off this 5e version, but you need to. Wizards has backtracked on this date and said it's coming soon. This is going to be detrimental. What do you think? I want to hear your comments down below. As always, happy adventures.